Hello everyone, today I'm going to show how to build end-to-end application using few AWS services and React.js. The application which is going to be built is a vehicle number plate recognition system. When you upload an image of the vehicle to the system will process the image and identify the number plate and show in the front end. If you follow along with me, surely this project could be a good candidate to show you a skill on AWS services. Let's see what are the main services, AWS services, which we'll be gonna use for this project. The very first one is AWS Rekognition. This is the main component which identifies the number plate when we feed the image. AWS Lambda function. This is where all the implementation of the business logic. And thirdly, AWS API gateway with the WebSocket. We need a two-way communication between front end and back end. Lastly, the S3 bucket where we need to save or upload our images. Furthermore, I'm using React.js to build the front end, and the back end will be written in Python. But still you can use any language, as concept is common. It's just a matter of using the specific library. For example, for the Python, it is Boto 3. I'm using Boto 3. If you are using Node or JavaScript, then the AWS SDK, etc. etc. So again, we will see the demo of the application in a second before everything. Just before that, as usual, please like and subscribe if you like this content. It would be really appreciated. Furthermore, if you have any comment or thought, please comment below. Lastly, let's get into see how does the finish application in a demo. Right, I'm in a browser. So this is the React app which is run in the front end with a very simple UI. The project is demonstrate the AWS services, not the React. So I made the UI very simple. So as you can see, I have opened the developer console in the right side to see some logs, and you can see the messages are going back and forth very easily. In the page load, the WebSocket connection is established, and this icon, the green icon, show as a green. You can barely see the color is a gray before the connection is established, because it's take milliseconds to establish the WebSocket connection. As you can see, this connect to, if I go a little bit down, and it's connect to AWS Web API through the WebSocket protocol. Right, as you mentioned, UI comes with one single button where you can upload the image. Let's select an image with the vehicle. I'm picking one of the vehicle image with let's say this one, Audi, and select. Right, once the image is selected, the image is uploaded to S3. Then the image is processed by the AWS Rekognition system. And once the number plate is identified, the message pushed to the front end using existing established WebSocket connection. As you can see, this is identified as a number plate identified as a OU63RWO. So let's select another image. So this is another one. You can see barely see the VX16JYJ, and in the right side you can see the messages is going back and forth. You can see the what are the messages in the console log. When you go to the React application, I show you that the console logs, where you can see and troubleshoot if something goes wrong. So if I select another one, let's say we select the bands. So it's take a little bit time, and finally get the GY64MEV. Right, I quickly show you how does it look like the WebSocket request and response in developer console. So select the network tab, and if I give a refresh and select the not the all, if go to AWS, which is WebSocket, and then what we can do, we can select image. And what you can see is some record. This is the request and this is the response. If I select another one, you can see this is a request and this is a response. So this is how you can see the actual message through developer console for the WebSocket. Cool. This is a system we will see end of this video. If you like to build this system step by step, please join with me. Without any delay, let's get in. Right, let's see quickly the architecture of the system we're gonna build. As already you know, we are using AWS Rekognition to identify the images, text in the images, API gateway with the WebSocket, Lambda function, and S3 for this project. Just to give a bit of cost around Rekognition service. In terms of pricing for Rekognition service, during the free trial period, you can analyze 5,000 images per month. That is a good amount of images you can try out without spending any cents. Right, let's back to the workflow. The workflow is started when the user opens the browser over here. In the page load, this is a React application. In the page load, the React application establishes a WebSocket connection with the API gateway. So in that case, it's using connect Lambda. We will go through the code in a bit after this, and keep this WebSocket connection alive until the browser closes. After user select the image, once you page load, the user select the image is uploaded to S3 bucket using the AWS SDK in the React application. Furthermore, the React application send a message to API gateway via WebSocket connection. The message includes the information about bucket name and the image name. There are few routes in the API gateway to handle a WebSocket connection. In this case, the API routes the message to Lambda function, which is first Lambda function, which configure to handle the send route. The Lambda function passes the bucket name and image name to AWS Rekognition service. The Rekognition service start analyzing the image. Then it sends the result back to the Lambda. The result is in the JSON format. We will see the actual payload, the result while we are developing the system. So it's in JSON format. This JSON has all the identified text and the word in the image. Let's say the image has 10 lines of words or multiple text fields. So all the fields and word will be in that JSON file. Then once it comes to the Lambda, that the result, it is up to us to use business logic to filter the word and text. Example, the number plate format are different country to country. Some has 6 letters, some have more than or less. So Lambda code should be has a business logic which filter and narrow down the number plate number, and identify the correct plate number. So let's say the Lambda identify the plate number. Then it push the result, which is in this case a plate number, to the front end through the existing WebSocket connection. Lastly, once the React application get the plate number, and it shows in the UI. So this is the architecture and how does the workflow goes. Right, now let's start building this system. This is a sequence we're going to create each services. First, we will create an API gateway to implement WebSocket and corresponding Lambda function. The send Lambda function, connect and disconnect. So in send Lambda function, we're going to create just a backbone. The actual business logic we will update it later. Secondly, we will create a React application and hook up with the API gateway. After that, we will create a S3 bucket. And lastly but not least, we will update the Lambda function with the business logic. What it actually does, it includes calling Rekognition services. Once it receives the result from the Rekognition services, then it filter and narrow down the result to find best match. In this case, it's a vehicle plate number. The code is written in Python and use Boto3 library. As I mentioned, the language is not a matter, so you need to, if you like to work on the different language like Java or Node.js, you need to find the relevant AWS SDK. That's all you need to do. And lastly, we will see all the cross component working together and see the action in live. I'm in AWS console. What we're going to do, we're going to create a WebSocket API. Search API gateway. And click on the create API. And then you need to choose the API type as a WebSocket API, which is a second option. Click on the build. And then we need to give a name. So this is about the vehicle, so we give the name as a demo vehicle app. The other part is route selection. This is very important. We will use the default route selection expression. If I quickly mention how does this expression is used, let's say you want to send a message via WebSocket connection, and then the payload should have a property name called action. The value for this property could be different. Based on the value for this action property, we can route the request to different places. That's why this is called route selection expression. We will see this in action. You will get a better understanding. So let's quickly check how does the sample payloads look like in Postman. Right, this is the sample request. The payload should be in the body of the message, and the type of the payload should be in a JSON format. This is a very important. We will see when we call the WebSocket using React application how does it is applicable. But this is a very important point. The payload should be in a JSON format. The other one, as you remember, our route selection expression is request.body.action. So request is everything is a request, and this is the body, and this is the action property. The value of this action will be used to redirect to different endpoint. That is decided by when we goes to the API WebSocket API. The other property is a message. This is any custom property. You can add any number of property where you want to send to the other server. Let's say if you want to send another property XYZ or XYZ, and and it could be any JSON format, or JSON object, or it could be a string, or it could be a number. So in our case, we need to just send to the bucket name and the image name. That's why I use a JSON object. So passing to the property name will be the message. We will see how does this message value used in API gateway in the other side. Right, let's click on the next. Then here we need to add a route. This is a place where you can define different route based on the action property we selected in a previous step. So for WebSocket connection, we should have at least two routes, one for connect and other one for disconnect. We will add them, connect and disconnect, which is the default routes. Other than default routes, we need another one for sending bucket name and the image name. Let's create a route call. For that, we will call it, we will add a new custom route. We will call it send vehicle info. This can be anything as far as you can map with the action value. So let's click on the next. After that, we need to select, we do have three routes, and we need to select the destination based on each route. As we have three route, we need three destination. For the disconnect, we can quickly select the mock response, but for the connect and our custom route, we need to create two lambdas. Let's create two lambda for which will be integrate with the connect and the send vehicle info. Right, let's create two lambdas. Search on and opening a new tab. One for connect and other one for send vehicle info. Give it a name. This one demo vehicle connect, which is integrated with our connect endpoint. And runtime, I'm selecting Python 3.9, but this one should work on the latest Python version. As a default execution role, I am using the existing role, which I already do have a existing role. Or if you don't have a existing role, you can just create a role with the admin permission. How do we create roles? Click on IAM. I quickly show you how to do that, and click on the roles and create a new role. So over here you can select the AWS services and click on the Lambda and click on next and give it a select the administrator access. This is a default permission, and click on next and give it a name. That's all you need to do. Once you create the role, you come back and you may need to give a refresh because it's a newly created one, and select the particular role. That's all you need to do in this function in this screen, and click on create function. As I mentioned, this is going to be integrated with our connect endpoint, and this is our default skeleton. What we're going to do, I'm just log, I'm just printing the event object. So this will be useful when we come to connect, and we can see what's the payload it's coming, what's the event payload, and sort of, and that's why I'm doing the these logs. And deploy. That's our first Lambda with the skeleton. We don't need to do anything, just returning status code with the 200, and body you can put any body, it doesn't matter. Right, we create one Lambda, then go back to here and create a second Lambda. This is a Lambda we're gonna integrate with a send vehicle info endpoint. So give it a name, vehicle send info. Same way I'm selecting the 3.9 Python, and same role, which is my existing admin permission role, and create function. I do the same thing if I go to the code. I'm adding the print statement to see how does it look like my event object, and deploy. And same thing, it's returning the status code 200. Now we do create two Lambdas, which is this one and this one, demo vehicle connect and demo vehicle info. Right, now we do have two Lambdas. Let's go to the previous page where we configuring our integration point for our WebSocket. For the integration type, in this case, what we're going to select a Lambda, and we need to select the, let's go here. This is our two Lambdas. I'm copying the name and search over here. So this is a Lambda for the demo vehicle connect Lambda. I'm selecting as an integration point. For the disconnect, as I mentioned, it's a mock integration point is good enough. And for the send info integration, we select the Lambda, and same thing, we're gonna select demo vehicle connect, not the demo vehicle connect. In this case, demo vehicle send vehicle info. The send vehicle info. This is the other Lambda we created. Click on next, and then this is where you can deploy our WebSocket API. So give it a name as a dev, and make it as a stage name as a dev, and click on next. This is where you can review your WebSocket API we're gonna create. API name is this, and route selection expression is this. This is very important again, and we do have three routes: connect, disconnect, and the send vehicle info. The first two are default, and this is a custom route we created, and each route has an integration point. First one, connect, has our Lambda integration, disconnect has a mock response, and send the custom route, which is send vehicle info, has another Lambda function. So both Lambda, these two Lambdas doesn't have anything much other than returning the 200 status code with printing the event object. That's pretty basic at this moment. We will update this send vehicle info lambda later on, but at this point this is good. And the stage is a dev, and we are happy with the information. Click on create and deploy. Let's take a few seconds, and here we go. So our WebSocket API got created. We are in the demo vehicle app. Close the message, and we can see the 3 routes: connect, disconnect, and vehicle send vehicle info. If we click on the connect and go to integration request, as you can see, lambda function is this is the one, and plus this is a very important lambda proxy integration. Make sure this is true, and otherwise it won't work. And same thing for disconnect. We do have a mock response, we don't have anything, that's good. And send vehicle info, again if we go to integration request, and which is integrated with our other lambda. So lambda function is this, and plus again lambda proxy integration need to be true. So that's pretty much about our WebSocket. We have all 3 endpoint. Pretty much now WebSocket is ready to use. Right, the next question, how do we test this? Let's test this WebSocket connection first before integrate with our React application. We will gonna create a React application and hook up with the this WebSocket API. Before that, we will see this WebSocket is working. How do we test? To test the API, we need a client tool. I'm using a Postman, which is a free tool you can download to call this WebSocket. We need to call this WebSocket endpoint. We need a endpoint. So because the client should know to whom should I to which endpoint need to be triggered. So how do we find? We need to go to the stages, and still I'm in our WebSocket, and go to stages and click on the web and copy this WebSocket URL, which is start with the protocol WSS. So copy that, and now let's go to Postman. As I mentioned, I'm going to use Postman. If you don't have a Postman install, please download and install the Postman if you want to follow with me. The link is in the description below to download Postman. So what we're going to do, I'm going to click on, if I go to here, click on the new and select the WebSocket, which will open a new request, and paste the URL which got from the stage in this URL. So copy that and save it. And then what we need to do, you need to click on connect. If everything is perfect, it should connect it. As you can see, our WebSocket connection is established. What is happening here when we click on the connect? The Postman client send a request to API gateway with the action equal connect. As we have a route defined in the API gateway which capture this request and establish a WebSocket connection between the client, in this case the Postman, and web server. Other than that, it's called our demo vehicle connect lambda. As you remember, we have integrate with the connect routes with the lambda function. The lambda function doesn't do extra thing at this scenario, but it's just send a 200 status code. The lambda function could be used to count how many clients are connected or implement any business logic in the future if you want to expand this app. But for this scenario, just sending 200 status code is enough. We will quickly have a look how does the event payload in particular lambda. Right, we will see the logs on a demo vehicle connect. If we go open the function and go to monitoring and click on the view CloudWatch logs, and then we will open the log file. So if you remember, we have a log the event object. This is a event object we log, and if you open, it has a big chunk of JSON object. So if I show you how does it look like, I did a little bit format on the object, the event object. As you can see, it's come with some headers and some multi-value. These are pretty much like metadata about the request. And the very interesting is under request context, which is says route key is a connect, because we are using the route connect, and plus what you can see the connection ID. This is the unique ID which is assigned to the client by. So let's say in this case postman connection, we initiate the connection from the postman, and the connection ID, this is the one it's identify the particular client. Right, now let's try our custom route, which is a send vehicle info. So our connection is already established. How do we send a custom route? Click on the message, because we need to, all the connection is established, and this is the payload we are sending. So action is send vehicle info, and the message will be bucket and the key, any bucket name and the key. We will use in our Lambda and later. And as I mentioned, I need to select JSON, which is JSON type, and that's all. Let's see hit over here. What we're gonna do, we're gonna send the message. I'm a little bit smaller, and click on the send again and check the response. As you can see, the message it's sending, this is a message we are sending. We don't get any error, so we can send another one. Seems looks good, because we do not get any error in the response. That's been good. We can verify the actual payload and in the CloudWatch logs, because whenever we send this payload, it should hit our Lambda, which is demo vehicle send vehicle info Lambda. Let's go to our Lambda. This is our Lambda. Open in a new tab. Go to monitoring and click on the CloudWatch logs. This is our CloudWatch log. Click on open the Lambda, open the logs, and what you can see, we hit couple of times, and we can see the event object. Let's get the last event object, and this is the actual events coming from our custom route. So what I can do, I can show you how does it look like. I copied this one and format it, and this is how it's look like. If you copy, so right, cool. If I give a bit of zoom in, and the request object, it doesn't have headers and other stuff we saw in the connect scenario. In this scenario, we have a request context object, and which has a route key, which is a send, not a send, it should be send vehicle info. I used the previous one of the payload. So route key is a vehicle, send vehicle info. If I go back here, so you can see route key is a vehicle, send vehicle info, and it has a connection ID, which is a client ID, and plus it has some information like a stage, and which is in our connection. It's a dev, sorry, it's in a dev. If we go here, you can see the stage is a dev, and plus what does it have? It's a body. So this is important. This is the extract payload we are sending in the postman, which is showing in here. It's a body object. The action is send vehicle info, and the message, whatever the message we are sending through our postman. So this is a postman. If I send you another one, say test2 bucket, this one is say 1 2 3, and if I send it, go back to our logs, let's have a look, give a refresh. Right, this is the last object. If you can see, a route key is this one, and the action is this, and message of this bucket name test3, and the key is Audi 3333 something, whatever we pass. So that's been our endpoint, both endpoints are working. Disconnect is automatically working. You can see if I click on that, you say disconnected from this endpoint, and you can connect again, which will show it's successful connected. Seems like our WebSocket API is working, and we can connect, we can disconnect, and we can send our custom message. Right, let's create a React app for the front end. I'm using VS Code to work with the React app. You can use any preferred IDE. I'm in an folder and create a React app using npx. The command I'm running npx, give me a sec, npx create React app. So if you don't have install npx, please run the command, which is the install the npx. The command you need to run, this is a command you need to run, npx install global npx. This will install npx for you. Furthermore, I'm using the Mac and using item 2. You can use any terminal to run this command. Example, if you are in the Power Windows, PowerShell or CMD should work as far as you have installed the npx. Right, let's run the command to create a React app. So npx create React app, and this is the name of the app. So if I enter, it might take a few seconds based on your internet connection. Finally, it's create a React app for you. As you can see, it's the React app is get created and it's loaded in my Visual Studio Code. So I open the Visual Studio Code. Now let's have a look. So we will open a new terminal. And let's run the npm install to make sure all the packages are installed. So you can see the node module is already there in case if you want to any missing installation. Right, so everything is run. If I run now, npm is I get the bit more space. Let's make it bigger. I'm running npm start. Right, so basically what's going to happen, it shows the default React application. So we can work on this React application and add in the button and whatever our application is supposed to do. Right, if I quickly remind the application look like, this is the application look like at the end of the day. So there will be a header and the placeholder for the image and button for the uploading the image, plus there are two labels, one for showing the progress and the other one for showing the number plate. Plus there will be an image which shows the WebSocket status, connection status, which is connected or not. Right, so we will update our React application with this element. Right, I update the code of two files which are app.js and app.css. You can see our application is partially work. You can see this connection get established. That's why it's showing in the green. If I give a refresh, it's a gray initially, then it's back change into green. That's when its connection is established. Plus we can upload the image. If I select one of the image, and if we go to our S3 bucket, give a refresh, you can see Audi one is got created. If we select another one, let's go the different one, and if we go to the image S3 bucket, you can see the images are uploaded to S3 bucket successfully. But processing part is pending, as we haven't implemented the required code in the demo vehicle Lambda, particular Lambda. If I go back to here, so this is the Lambda which is responsible for calling the recognition system and filtering the plate number and send back the plate number to the front end. But we haven't implemented the required code. We will fix that later. Till that, let's go through the code over here line by line to understand how the WebSocket connection is implemented and the application work up to this level. Right, in the very beginning we are importing few libraries. And you are pretty much know use state and use effect are well-known utility for handling React state and side effect. We will see where we're going to use this use effect and use state and use effect in the further down. Other than that, secondly, we are getting some AWS related packages, which are client S3 and the library storage. These two packages we are using to upload image to S3 bucket. And lastly, we are using the React icon. React icon library give a variety of a nice bunch of icons. So for example, this icon you can see in the right topmost, the green color icon, which is show the WebSocket connection status, come from React icon. We will see how we're going to use again. Then we define a few constant to hold the bucket name and the credentials and S3 client. So basically the client. The bucket name is actual bucket name where we upload our images. And for the credentials, you need to create a access key and secret for existing user, or you can use you can create a new user with the new access key and secret. Both work. So and finally, we will use this client. This is the client we're going to use to upload the image to S3 bucket. That's where we are using these credentials. I will quickly show how to create a key and secret because if you are beginner, you can use the way I can show you how to create a secret and the key. If you are already familiar with, you can skip this part. Right, I'm back in AWS console. What we're gonna do, I'm searching IAM. Go to IAM and create a new user. Click on the user and create a new user. Give it a name, doesn't matter whatever name. Let's say test name, test user 1, and you don't need to give a management console because I'm not use this user to connect to the console. I'm using more about on the programmatically. So I'm not checking this text box. Click on next. And then what I'm doing, I'm attaching a policy. So basically what I'm doing, I need to give up some permission to this particular user. You can give a fine-tune permission, or in this case I'm just for sake of simplicity, I'm giving administrator access. This user get all the permission. So click on next and create a user. So the user got created. I'm click on the test user, the particular user I got just created, and go to the security credentials and go to access key. So this is where you can create a key and the secrets. So click on the create and select the command line interface CLI and say yes, I'm confirm, I understand this, and click on next. You can give a additional optional description as a tags, and I'm not putting anything, and click on create same. So this is where you get the access key, and you can get the access key and the secret key. So this is the key and the secret you need to paste into here. So if I go back to our code, over here, the ID and the access key. So please make sure this key is not going to show again. The secret is not going to show again. You may better to download this key and the secret to future usage. So that's how you need to do. I'm not going to do because I don't want this user. That's how you can create the access key and the secret. Right. One thing you need to make sure the region. This region should be matched with the bucket name. Where's the bucket you hosted? For example, this bucket is in AP Southeast 2. This S3 client should be in the same region. That's need to be make sure. Right. So we do have a couple of functions, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the HTML part. Let's have a look at HTML part. In the HTML part, we do have a header section, and then we do have a image. So within the div element. So this is the image you can see in the green color the signal. When the connection is active and connected, established, this icon get the green color based on this property we will set in later. And if for example, if the connection is not connected, then it shows as a green. I open the developer console so you can see some logs going on there. After this icon, then we do have a image preview. For example, if you click on the one, this div icon, so basically what's going to happen, we are checking is there any image. If the image is there, we are setting the particular image in this preview. Otherwise we are setting the just empty div element. Then the input element, which helps to show the file browser where user can select the image. Once the image is selected, it calls the process image function. We will go to the process image function in a sec. Lastly, we do have a to label to hold the process of the work, where this one shows here. For example, currently is showing as a processing image, and the other one to hold the number plates. Currently it just doesn't have a number plate, but it shows the halfway of the wording. So that's how the HTML part, very easy. Right, let's have a look how the other function work. Just before go that, we have defined some constant to hold the state of the application. So image, this is hold the current image when the users select, and this is the variable it's hold the image information. The message to hold the current progress of the work, and the WS to hold the WebSocket connection, number plate which hold the actual number plate which come from the server, and the socket status color which hold the color of the WebSocket connection. So initially it's a gray. When the connection is established, it's changed into a green. When the page is loaded, it goes to the use effect function. We are passing the empty array to this use effect function. Due to this empty array, this code blocks only executed at a page load. This code block will not run on each render. What is happening is here is that it's try to connect and try to establish a WebSocket connection. First it's check WebSocket connection is null, not null. Then it's create a WebSocket connection by giving the WebSocket API endpoint. You can find this URL in the status of our API, WebSocket API. If all goes well, it returns the WebSocket object and establish a connection between the client and the server. Then it save in the next line. What's going to say? It save our WebSocket object into our constant. The else statement is set the connection status to grid. If the connection is not connected, it set the status of this icon onto green. Then there are two functions when the WS object is not null. As you can see within this if statement, we do have two function. The first function is ws.onOpen, is a callback function. This function is automatically triggered when the connection is established. Example, we create the WebSocket connection inside the use effect function. If the connection is successfully established, then ws.onOpen function is triggered with automatically. Inside this function, what we're gonna do, we log the message connection.establish. You can see in the console log at the very right side over here. And other than that, what we're gonna do, we set the icon, this icon to green color. The other function is ws.onMessage. This is again another callback function. This is trigger when the server push any message to this client. In our scenario, when the image is processed by the Rekognition system or Lambda along with the Lambda, and it sent the plate number via the Lambda. So at that time, this function will be triggered with the whatever the data sent by the server. So let's say server send plate number and some more information. It will trigger with this event object. You can see the what is in coming in event object in the letter. By the way, we haven't completed the demo vehicle send info of Lambda. So this is Lambda. Currently it doesn't have any code. So this function won't executed or won't be triggered as at now. By the way, inside this method, we extract the data object. You can see we get the data object from the event, which is a JSON, and then it's extract the message property. So this is basically the message property is the plate number. Then what we do, we clear the message, the processing message. We don't need to show the processing messages or whatever the message showing in here, and we set the plate number. This label with the actual plate number come from the server, and plus it has we are handling some exception handling. The next method is a process image. This function is a call when the user select the image. So if I go to the HTML part, so when this is the input element with the type file. Whenever user select the image, it's called the process image function. So this event object has all the information about the selected image. Very first thing, it set the image. So there we can show the preview of the image in over here. Secondly, the image is uploaded to S3 bucket. We will go to the upload file to S3 function in a second. Then if the image is uploaded successfully, then what's gonna do, it's called the send message function with the image name. Right, let's see what does the upload file to S3 function does. Simply it's upload the image to a given S3 bucket. It set the message as a uploading in the very beginning, and then it's create the target object which contains the bucket key and the body. The bucket is the bucket name, and the key will be the name of the image, and the body will be the actual image content. We are using the image upload class which come from AWS lib storage, which support a parallel upload or multi upload. This is a good way to increase the performance of the upload process. It need a S3 client that we created earlier, and we can provide how many concurrence queue, and finally we need to pass the actual content as a param, which is our image and the bucket information over here. The parallel upload s3 dot on is again a callback function which call when the upload is started. So we are doing some login when the upload is started. Finally, we call the parallel upload s3 dot done method which will start the actual upload process. Once the upload is finished, we set the message to upload is done. Then user know, okay, the upload is successfully completed. Then it's returned the true. So if I go back, if I go back to our process method, what's going to happen? It's upload the image, then it's called the send message function with the image name. Let's see what's happening over here. Right, at this moment the image is in S3 bucket, so that we can send the message to the Lambda function or WebSocket through the WebSocket to start processing the image and identify the plate number. So we pass the message via existing WebSocket connection. This is our WebSocket existing WebSocket connection. We use the WebSocket.send method to send a message. Here we send we need to provide some specific information. Remember, we define our route expression as a request.body.action in the WebSocket API. So in this case, we need to send this message to our this lambda. So this lambda it's get called by the send vehicle info route. So that the action will be send vehicle info, and we are passing bucket name and the image name in the message property. So very important, this you must send this payload as a JSON. So you can see we are doing the string JSON.stringify. If you do not use a JSON stringify, in this case you will get a 403 error or forbidden error. This JSON.stringify is specific for JavaScript. If you are using the any other language, please make sure you use the corresponding JSON convert function. After calling this send in the message, we set the message to processing image. So once you send this message, in the backend it start processing. That's why we are set the message to processing the image. Plus we are handling some exception over here. Once we send this message, it's eventually trigger our lambda function over here, and the lambda function will process the image and send the result back. As I mentioned earlier, it will trigger this function. If I go up and under WS, this function, the ws.onMessage function will be triggered with the data, whatever data come from the lambda. Yeah, that is pretty much on the front end side. Now let's go to our lambda demo vehicle vehicle info lambda and update the code which can process the image and send the result back to front end. Right, I got the code for the demo vehicle send vehicle info lambda, and let's try our application. Select image, open it. Yeah, it's uploading in processing image, and finally we got the number. So it's detecting the vehicle number and our application work. So let's go through the code. So mainly we do have two Python file. First one is lambda underscore function.py, which is responsible for passing the image information to Rekognition service, and it has some business logic too. The other file is a publisher, which is used to send message back to the client. Right, let's start with the lambda underscore function. So we will copy this file. I'll already copy this file to file into VS Code, so we can see the content very clearly. Right, this file has a few methods starting from lambda underscore handler function. Here it's what does it do? It's extract the bucket name and the image name, which is a key, from the event object. As you remember, we are sending, if we go back to our front end code, this is how we send the bucket name and image name inside the message property. If I come to the lambda function, that is we are getting the body object and the message object in the body, and we extract the bucket name, bucket, and the key. Furthermore, it's extract the connection ID from the request context so that we can push the result. Once we find the plate number, we can push that plate number into correct client, and we do some login to do some troubleshooting. After that, it's called the extract number plate with the providing the bucket and the key. All this magic happen inside this function. It will return the plate number over here. Once it receives the plate number, this call another function which is publish function. This publish function is defined in as you can see, it's coming from the publisher.py. This we will see this publish function in a soon. So other than it's calling publish function, and it's returning the status code with the 200 to back to the WebSocket API. Other than that, yeah, we're doing some exception handling. If something goes wrong, we are sending the status code 500 with some error message. Let's have a look what is extract number plate does. That function is just immediate below. Let's open. Honestly, it doesn't do much thing. What does main function is happening in the get detected text list. Let's go to the get detected text list. Right. Okay. You can see, and this is a place where it's called the recognition service. So it create the client with the recognition client with the provided the region, and it get the client. And in the client object, we call the detect underscore text method on this recognition client. Over here, what we are providing the bucket and the key, and we get the response back. So as you can see, we log the response, and this response object has all the text which are identified in the given image. So this response object is in the JSON format, and what we can do, we can have a look what's the response object, and then we can come back and go through the rest of the code. Right, I am in CloudWatch of the demo vehicle info lambda, and if I give a refresh, and it is one file, and yeah, this is the response object we are dumping. As you can see, this logs is if we go here, this is the response object we can see here. What I'm doing now, I'm copy the whole bit and go to VS Code and opening a new file, get rid of this response word and change the type to JSON and do a little bit formatting. Right, we got the response object. Let's have a look what is contained in this response object. Mainly, as you can see, there are three objects. The text detection, this is an array and contain all the text in the given object. The text mode version, this is a version of the recognition library, not much important for us in this scenario. The third one is a response metadata. This object has information about response such as HTTPS code and more information, what's the content types and so on. But by the way, we are more interested in the text detection array. This object is an array and it's contain many objects. If you expand this array, each object represents the text of the image. If you open the first one, example, the detect text is 17, as you can see, and it has a few more information. The confidence is 99 point something. Confidence is important, which reflect how much accurate this detection by the recognition service. The higher number is better. In this case, it's 99.45. That is a quite good number. That means it identified this text has a good confidence. So if I open the other one, they found another one which is DE. And if we go with the next one, seems like this is the actual number plate, which is VX16 under space JYG. As you can see, this is a confidence level little bit low. It's a 93, and but it found the number. So same way you can find all the other text in the particular image. So there's a text in the wave gallery. If I go to image, you can see this is a 17. As you can see, this is one of the text in the image, and this is another text in the image. So those are the reflected over here. And one thing you need to make sure is the type is a line, and some are come with the type, some are come with the word. So for example, there should be a two object with the vx16, other one is a jyg with the types word. If we go further down, this is another one word, and yeah, this is a one of word, and there's another one with the word. But over here we need to make sure it's based on the our business logic. We need to fine tune and filtering based on the which what's the filtering mechanism we need to use. In this case, using the type and get the detect text is seems like a good one. In we are doing the plate number, so plate number is different to country, so you can use your own logic to detect the correct plate number. Right, back to our code. As we are interested with the text detection objects, so the very first object over here, and we grab that array, and then we go over each object. So it's checking the object is not null, and then go over each object. Then it's grab the detect text, which is, if I open again, it's grab this detected text. This value is passed to validate. So this validate detects text method has a simple logic. We check the length of the detected text. If it is 8, then consider as a candidate for the plate number, valid plate number. Otherwise, return a none. So if I come back again, if it is a valid one, then it's append to the one of the array, which is list of detected text. Then it pass back this array to whoever call this function. Let's go to whoever calling this function. Yes, it's get all the candidates, and for the simplicity, what I am doing, I am picking the only the first item. So there could be a multiple plate number, but in this case I am picking the only the first number. Then it's passed back to this plate number, passed back to over here. Eventually end up with here. Now we do have a plate number. It's recognized by the recognition service, and next step is what we need to pass this plate number to correct client or the front end. That is where we are calling the publish method. So let's have a look what is publish method does. Right, I open the publisher.py file, and it has a publish method in it. So what does it do, this publish method? It's basically it's create the client API gateway management API client using the Boto 3. To create this client, it needs a endpoint URL which is defined as in the callback. So over here I'm defined as a callback. This is the URL we can find in our WebSocket API. If we go to the WebSocket API, so this is where you can find this URL in this staging, and this is the URL I'm talking about. This is URL you need to post to over here as a callback URL. The other parameter is a config. The config object is a content, if you can see here, the region name. This region name should be same as your WebSocket API hosted. And the other one is a signature underscore version. This is recommended by AWS, which will make sure that no one has tempered your response while transfer this message from your server to the client. Right, now we have a client object over here. Then it's called the post to connection on top of the client object. This method basically accepts data. Data is the payload you want to send back to the client, which is in a JSON format. You can see it's a JSON. And the connection ID, this is the client ID where you want to send the this data object. Other than that, we are doing some exception handling. If something goes wrong, we throw exception, we raise the exception, and that's all. So now let's try a couple of images to see how our application works. If I go back to our application and I want to show something over here too, this event object, I'm get refresh everything. It's a gray, it's connected, now it's green. If I go open another one, let's say Benz, and it says processing image, it's take time, and after that it's get the value. As you can see, this is the event object. If we go to our app.js, and if I show you the one of the method, the on message event function, whenever the server push a message to the client and this method get trigger, so that's where we are dumping the event object and then grab the plate number from the event object. So this is the particular console corresponding console message, and you can see that it's get dumping here in the console. Then let's try another one. Here we go. It has lots of text. You can see 20 Arnold Clark and so some stuff, but it's nicely pick up this plate number. Plate number, as I mentioned, it's changed country to country. You need to use your own logic to filter out and fine tune the actual result. That is all about simple project which cover few AWS services. As I mentioned, if you can try simple project like this with a few AWS services, you will get better understanding about all these services. All the code related to this project is in the GitHub, and link is in the description below. So hope you enjoy this little AWS project. If you have any question, comment, please comment below. I will answer them as soon as possible. Finally, before wrap up, please like and subscribe my channel. It would be really appreciated, and that will encourage me to do lots of this kind of video. Right, that's it for today. Then I will see you on another video. Thanks.